The Strait of Hormuz was strategically irrelevant for most of human history. The routes that mattered went overland. The empires that mattered looked elsewhere. 34 kilometers of water between Iran and Oman, geographically fixed, commercially meaningless. Then a dynasty ran out of money. A speculator ran out of patience. And between them, they accidentally built the single most important choke point in the modern economy. Not through war, through debt. You are watching William Knox D'Arcy, London, 1900. He is not a diplomat, not a strategist. He is a gold speculator who made his fortune in the Australian outback and has spent the last months reading geological reports about Persia. His theory: there is oil beneath the desert. He is preparing to spend what remains of his fortune on that theory. In Tehran, a Shah he has never met is running out of money at precisely the right moment. This is money memory. The past is still running. Here is the thesis. Geography does not create strategic power. Money does, or the lack of it. The Strait of Hormuz did not become the world's most critical waterway because of where it sits. It became critical because the man who owned the sand was willing to take money for another man's obsession. And if this sounds like ancient history, it isn't. In 2024, 20 million barrels of oil pass through those 34 kilometers every single day. 1/5 of everything the world burns. The mechanism that produced that number was set in motion by two men who had no idea what they were building. To understand 1901, you need to understand what Persia had already lost. For centuries, it sat at the center of the world's trade. The Silk Road ran through it. Silk, spices, dyes moving between China and Europe through Persian cities. Then came the ships. The Suez Canal opened in 1869. Maritime routes replaced land roads. The caravans stopped. By 1900, Persia's main exports were hand-woven carpets and opium. Neither funded a state. The Qajar dynasty had been borrowing since the 1840s from Russia, England, France, each new loan taken to pay the previous one. The Shah who signed D'Arcy's concession had financed his European spa trips on money borrowed from the Tsar. The state had no industry, no strategic commodity, no tax base. It had land. And beneath that land, something no instrument existed to confirm. This is the first mechanism, the accidental choke point. May 28, 1901. The concession is signed at the Shah's palace in Tehran. D'Arcy is not present. His lawyer signs on his behalf. £20,000 cash. 20,000 in shares. 16% of all future profits. In return, the exclusive right to drill across 3/4 of the country for 60 years. The Shah is selling a rumor. D'Arcy is buying a theory. Neither knows what is down there. D'Arcy drills for 7 years and finds nothing. By 1907, he has spent close to £500,000, nearly his entire fortune. His backers withdraw. Weeks from abandoning, his engineers recommend one final site, a valley in southwestern Persia called Masjid Soliman. He agrees, not out of conviction, out of exhaustion. May 26, 1908, 4 in the morning. Oil erupts from the ground, a column shooting 50 feet into the air. D'Arcy receives the telegram in London. 7 years, £500,000. One find. The Anglo-Persian Oil Company is formed the following year. Within 5 years, it is supplying the Royal Navy. Britain acquires a 51% stake in 1914. The logic: control the oil, control the fleet, control the seas. The Strait of Hormuz, the only maritime exit from the Persian Gulf, is no longer irrelevant. It is the only way out for the most valuable commodity on Earth. But that wasn't the only mechanism at work. This is the second mechanism, the locked-out owner. In 1935, Persia officially became Iran. The oil company changed its name with it, from Anglo-Persian to Anglo-Iranian. The concession did not change at all. From 1912 to 1951, the country watches its oil leave through the Strait of Hormuz, into ships it does not own, toward markets it does not control. Royalties arrive, but the books are never opened. The numbers tell the story directly. In 1931, Anglo-Iranian Oil Company pays the British government nearly £1 million in income tax. Iran receives £366,000 in royalties for the same year. The country above the oil earns less than the country that imports it. Iran's Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh has been making this calculation publicly for years. A lawyer, a constitutionalist. His argument is not revolutionary. It is mathematical. The oil is under Iranian soil. The revenue should be Iranian. In early 1951, the Iranian parliament votes unanimously. The oil fields, the pipelines, the refinery at Abadan, the largest in the world, are nationalized. The concession signed in 1901 is canceled 50 years later by the people it was signed over. But here's the problem. Nationalizing oil is one thing. Selling it is another. Britain organizes a global boycott in mid-1951. No tanker will carry Iranian oil. No insurer will cover it. No refinery will process it. The strait stays open. Iranian oil has nowhere to go. By 1953, Iran's economy is in freefall. A coup organized by British and American intelligence removes Mossadegh from power. He is arrested, tried, sentenced. He dies in 1967, confined to the village where he was kept. By 1954, the Shah signs a new agreement. Formal ownership stays Iranian. Operational control returns to a Western consortium. The mechanism resets. And if this sounds familiar, it should. By the early 1970s, the world's appetite for oil had outgrown its ability to replace it. For the first time since D'Arcy's concession, the countries above the oil had something the market couldn't ignore. The power to reduce supply faster than demand could adjust. OPEC cut production. Prices quadrupled. The architecture D'Arcy had built still stood, but the leverage within it had shifted. The Silk Road that once made Persia central has been replaced by tanker routes. Different commodity, same geography. The dependency built on a rumor in 1901 now moves $500 billion in annual energy trade. The mechanism is identical. Only the names change. But what happens when the architecture fractures? 20 million barrels a day through 34 kilometers. No viable alternative. When the strait is interrupted, even partially, the price signal moves instantly. Not in the Gulf, at every fuel pump, in every heating bill, in every factory calculating input costs. That disruption doesn't stay in the headlines. It moves through exchange rates, import prices, and the purchasing power of every salary. Your savings, your cost of living, your future. So what should you take away from this? First, the world's most critical infrastructure is rarely designed. It emerges from private decisions made under financial pressure, and the future bears the consequences. Second, geography is neutral. It becomes strategic only when capital assigns value to what lies beneath it. Third, the architecture of dependency can change sides, but it outlasts every empire that builds it and every government that tries to dismantle it. The theme is constant. Poverty creates the conditions. Capital writes the contract. The Silk Road made Persia the center of the world. Ships made it peripheral. A rumor about oil made it central again, on terms signed in 1901 by two men who had no idea what they were creating. Those terms are still running. Money memory. Subscribe, so the past stops surprising you.